Hello, everybody, and welcome to Gather, Learn, Heal, and Become. I'm Sanna Calvert. I don't know. I'm leading this effort in any case, and I'm one of the founders of Sanctuary of Earth. I'm also on the board of the Richmond Ions Community Group, which is also co-sponsoring this program. I'll just say that I have my friends Jesse and Kim here today, so I'm really happy to have some of my buddies around for this Clairempathy course or mini course. And offering this course with me today is Renee Beth Poindexter, who's calling from Oregon. Hey, Renee.
Hi there. Great to be with you today, Sanna. And welcome, everyone.
So what we're going to do today is we're going to start with well, first I will just say that this program was created because we have been sensing just so much shifting and challenging energy. And instead of trying to go through this by ourselves, we decided to create a monthly gathering where we get together and we learn and share and support each other as we are becoming, healing and becoming whatever it is we're moving into. By also meeting, it helps us to discern that as well, because it can be very challenging. So today's topic is Clairempathy, but before we do that, I'm going to start with a little energy medicine and a channeled message. And then I'm going to turn it over to Renee Beth for about 20 minutes to talk about empathy. And then I'm going to lead you on a guided meditation for us to feel into Clairempathy, and we will have some discussion time around it. Going to end by giving away a free a 30-minute one-on-one session with me. So make sure you stay till the end so that you can be eligible for that door prize. Okay, so if you would like to receive the energy medicine, then just set your intention to receive, and it'll only be about 3 or so minutes, and then I will channel a message. Okay. And thank you again for coming. We're so glad you're here to join us today. So just if you wish, you can close your eyes and just set your intention to receive. This will be a healing medicine for all of us. Okay. So whenever you're ready, you can come back into the Zoom room. Going to prepare a message, channeled message. Beautiful souls. Many of you might be feeling like the earth is shifting under your feet and that you cannot find stability in this time of crisis and unremitting change. The fear of the unknown and of structures and supports that we normally rely upon are starting to crumble away. A great sense of disorientation, perhaps sense of loss, and maybe even a sense of hopelessness. But please do not despair because all is right with the energies of the world. In fact, this is just a stage of Earth's evolution, and along with her evolution, humanity is changing too. Of course, change and evolution at this pace is going to feel disruptive and scary. But if you really notice and you look at yourself, you can see how much change you have been through in a very short period of time. And while not all of it has been easy, there has also been some great progress, great wisdom and strength that you have gained from these changes. And trust that this is happening to people everywhere. Of course, not everybody is growing like you are. Some might be growing less, some might be growing more. But overall, humanity is growing and evolving with Earth. And over time, this will just continue to improve. So notice where you are growing, becoming stronger and wiser. Notice the same for the people around you. Notice the beautiful changes that are coming in. And while that may not provide full clarity about what is to come, just know that it is heading in the right direction. And the more that you focus on the growth and the gains, the more you'll be able to grow and become wiser and gain and to move into this beautiful new reality that's for all of us, including Earth. In this way, you become part of the solution and you can hold the container for yourselves and others to come into this space as well. If nothing else, that collaboration and sense of community is part of the point. So find that support for yourself and provide it for others. And there's nothing we cannot do together. Okay, well, I needed that message. I hope you found that helpful. Before I turn the program over to Renee Beth, just like to tell you a little bit about this class, Clairempathy, that we are starting on September 21st. So in about a month from now. And this course was first created, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago now by Renee Beth and myself as part of the intuition development series. So it came after clairaudience and clairvoyance. And I just felt like I couldn't develop this course without a great deal of help. So fortunately, my dear friend and collaborator, partner, Renee Beth, had this skill set for us to put this class together. So I'm going to hand it over to Renee Beth, who is just a spectacular example of an empathic person who uses it for so much good in the world. And she has this unique way of making everybody feel so seen and heard. So go ahead, Renee.
Thank you, Sanna. Do I have sharing privileges? I'm going
Yeah.
to share a few slides. Okay. Well, I want to welcome everyone. And I really love that intuitive message that came through. And those of you that don't know Sanna, she is a channel. She's been working with guides. And, it's been so healing for me to be in partnership with you, Sanna, because for many of us that maybe don't know exactly what's all these messages coming through, what that means and what to make of it. But to be grounded and understand that there is that divine link. I mean, there are many times in my life when I felt like a channel myself. Sometimes when I'm speaking or when I wrote my book, things just came through me. And I knew that I was tuned in and I have guides, but I haven't really always developed that clear partnership with my guides the way that you have. And as a result of the readings and conversations that we've had, you've helped me maintain sanity on this journey on the earth this time. And I'm sure we've been together many lifetimes. I'm sure many of us who keep coming together. Hi, Marlise. Hi, Katie. Susan. I mean, some of you I know, some of you I don't know, but we probably have all known each other at one point, and we're coming together for a specific timing and reasoning that's beyond our intellectual capacity to understand. So it was a great joy for me to just play with. I am an empath. How many of you feel like you're also an empath? You have understanding or feelings that are beyond this world, feeling other people's feelings, wondering what's mine, what's theirs, what's this, what does this mean? And right now, I'm realizing the significance of bringing community together, a common unity where we can open our hearts and connect, because sometimes our minds are just going to wreak havoc with us, as we know. And so, how do we open up our heart and allow spirit source to come through and access that divine wisdom that we all have? So, I don't claim to be an expert on empath. I'm just going to tell you that I am an empath. And it started at a really young age when I could feel feelings in my family and other people, I've tried to express it and stuff, but, people, I've been labeled a unicorn. This is my unicorn, because you know, I feel things and see things. And I'm just learning over now in my seventh decade to find a way to express that in some way and hold space for others to be seen and heard in a way where we feel the oneness of who we all are becoming. So thank you, Sanna, for helping me maintain my sanity through these interesting times. That I think it's no accident that we've chosen to be here, been guided to be here. So each of our courses that Susan Sanna was talking about is usually about a 6 week time frame. And I'm just going to give you a little overview of what the course Clairempathy is. That we'll talk about what is clairempathy. People go, well, what's empathy and what's clairempathy and what's the distinctions? And all of this is becoming more and more aware because we have access to it, some more than others. And we'll be able to begin to implement a practice, connecting to your own guides and what that all means for you, and begin to feel, some feedback on revelations through deep listening from the opening of your own spirit, your soul. I don't know what your spiritual beliefs are and so forth, but I have this understanding that our soul lives on, and we've been here many, 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 many lifetimes. And each time there's something that we're evolving into our awakening. And it's pretty interesting to understand that soul relationship. And what I've learned is sometimes it's hard to access the soul when the mind is so predominant. And let's face it, in our culture, it's all been, the mind pretty much. You know, it's interesting. Even when people are in a spiritual belief and so forth, that's coming through their mind and their understanding of it. So it's really interesting on how to put your mind on the back burner and let spirit and soul come forward. And I think practicing and understanding what empathy and clear empathy is can help with that. Would you agree, Sanna, so far? Yeah. I mean, this is just coming through. I have no idea what I'm going to say. We created these outlines of what we're going to do a while ago. And I reviewed them all this morning, and I picked up a few slides that's from the six sessions. But sometimes people get really, like is empathy like sympathy? And I think you're familiar with Brene Brown, who really put forth the understanding that vulnerability is just such a, it's a, is a strength that once we understand how to be vulnerable and not be afraid to be vulnerable, it opened up all other understandings of emotions. So the distinction of empathy is about feeling with someone, and sympathy is about feeling for someone. And sometimes people just need, you'll know and understand which one is working and predominant in any relationship that you have. Um, Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about what might be showing up for you in just a minute. So, Dr. Judith Orloff, she wrote the Empath Survival Guide. I have it handy because there's all kinds of exercises and things that really support my understanding of empathy. And so I just think it'd be interesting to take a look at these um, and just see which ones stand out for you, Have you been labeled as oversensitive, shy, or introverted? Right? When I was a kid, I cried so hard. I don't know if any of you know that show Lassie. It's a show about a beautiful collie that usually got in trouble, and I would just, I was so emotional that my parents absolutely forbade me to watch that show. So then allowing myself to really have my feelings and talk about it, that was not, yeah, stuff it. Go ahead and stuff it, right? Anybody know people that are stuffing their feelings? So interesting how that might show up in other ways in the body when we're not emotionally able to express. So, do you feel over anxious or overwhelmed, or do arguments make you feel a little sick? And how often do you feel like you just don't fit in? I mean, I'm a unicorn and I'm proud of it. I'm looking for other people who would like to be unicorns. Um, what about, are you stimulated by noise, odors, or nonstop talkers? It's interesting, isn't it? I notice a lot of that in myself. I'm sensitive to specific environments with chemical sensitivities or even the kind of clothes that itch or don't work. How about, do you prefer taking your own car places so you can leave early if you want to? I am really, I'm really part of that for sure. I like to have my freedom. Sometimes I overeat to cope with stress. Am I afraid of becoming suffocated by intimate relationships? Yep. Do I startle easily? Yep. Do I react strongly to caffeine or medications? I would say I don't drink coffee. And thank goodness I'm on no medications, which is quite odd for people over the age of 70. Um, I wouldn't say that I have a low pain threshold. It seems like, I don't have a lot of pain in my body, but when I do, it doesn't drive me nuts too much. I can go through it and come out the other side. Do I tend to socially isolate? Well, this is interesting because I feel like I am, I love being alone and I love being with people. So sometimes I just need more alone time than the average person. So does that mean I socially isolate? I don't know. How about observing other people's stress, emotions, or symptoms? Yeah, that's I can pick that up in a room, actually. I remember speaking in front of a large group of people, close to 1,000 people, and then that night my heart was beating over 200 beats a minute. You know, it was really a sensation that's happened a couple other times, but now I realize what I need to do when I'm with large groups of people to create protection, and we'll talk about some of that in our sessions. I love nature. I love to replenish myself in nature. I don't really like multitasking. I realize that for me, I have to be very present to each thing in a being place rather than how much I have to do, which we're pretty conditioned into being. Um, and I need time to recuperate sometimes after being with someone that I feel is difficult, or I don't know. Do you know what an energy vampire is? If you've never experienced it, I hope you never have to. I like the country. I like being in nature. And I like one-on-one interactions in small groups rather than large gatherings. So I wonder if any of these speak to you. And is there anything else that you would add to this list? These are some of the things that we talk about. I'll open it up for discussion in just a minute, but just take a hold and say, which ones of these, maybe put a number in the chat. Yeah, this one bugs me. Oh, yeah, this is me, or whatever. It's just kind of nice to take a dive into where your empathy is for whether you're an empath or not, starting with yourself. Okay. So Exactly what is clairempathy? Well, it's a form of clairsentience, which is information your body is sensing, but it includes emotional information. And it focuses on the ability to sense or feel the emotions of others. Sometimes you can have clairempathy and you can sense the emotions of others, but you don't necessarily feel it. You sense it, but you don't always feel it. So there's a distinction between being an empath and being with what a clairempath is. Clairempathy is highly sensitive to the emotional energy of people around them, but they don't necessarily have to feel the emotions, they sense it. And they can pick up on whether people are sad, happy, anxious, or any other emotion. And here's the other thing is that you don't have to even be in the same room. Like you could be all of a sudden get a sense of someone close to you. Like I have a lot of dear friends that live in Canada, and many of them right now are struggling with fire. And I've picked up some of the sensations that's going on for them. And we haven't even talked, but I'm sure when we do, it'll be interesting to see how that is showing up, what I was noticing. So they're spontaneous and visceral, strong, it doesn't have any logic or reason. And I just want to open it up if you've ever experienced this kind of a shared awareness of something going on, just a sense of awareness, someone other else's feelings without even having talked about it, or but you get a sense of it. And then later you understand that you had a shared awareness. Does anybody like to share an experience? Anything like they've had related to that? It's embodying the feeling.
I can share.
Anyone? Okay. Hi,
Uh,
Katie.
Hi, thanks for having me here and thanks for the invite, Renee, and good to see you, Sana. It's been a while. So so my mom transitioned at the end of February and I feel very good about it. She chose to leave before she was old, so she was 69, that's still very young. And recently I was like having guilty feelings because I was in Mexico when she transitioned and just other things. And I was like, this is so weird because this whole time, and I know it's not been that long, but I felt like pretty good about everything. And then my brother reached out to me and he was like, our sister is really freaking out because like I made sure to take time with my mom and to like mend our relationship and make sure like everything was good. So I don't have those resentments like my sister does. And so he's like, she feels bad about all the years of not seeing mom and blah, blah, blah. And so it was really cool to see because like I said, I feel like for the most part, really good about everything that's happened. And I feel like emotionally good. And then just to be freaking out. So I could feel that I knew that it was my sister's emotions that I've been taking on. And so it's really cool. So I'm going to go have dinner with her and do some Reiki with her when she answers me.
Right, exactly. So yeah, you were really close to your mom, and it's interesting those connections and the messages that you had. You had kind of a premonition before your mom passed that
Oh,
could
yeah.
be.
Yes. So, like, yeah, last year we did the Celebration of Life blueprint 2 months before she passed. So I had a list of what she wanted to do. And since then, I was in Canada and a group of 7 women came and redid my yard. And when I moved into my house 7 years ago, my mom was like, I just want to pay for your yard to get done. And she never did. And then there were some interesting things that happened that all of the women knew that it was messages from my mom. And so it's been a really beautiful.
Right, right, exactly. So the feeling, that's a lot of understanding and cognitive analysis and so forth. But if you were to just access, just for a moment, the feeling that you have, like when you're with your sister
Mhm.
and her sense of circumstances and so forth, and the feeling of it without your analyzing it or deciding, how would you describe it, the feeling?
Oh, yeah, like a lot of sadness and resentment that she's having. Yeah. Um, yeah, and I knew it before he even told me, because I was starting to feel really resentful, and I know that my mom was happy I was in Mexico, and so it's like mostly that resentment and that sad that
Right.
like regret, not resentment, regret, and that overwhelming sadness.
Right. So you could feel that also. So those of you realizing that, sometimes you're feeling this, is it your feeling? Is it someone else's feeling? It's like, okay. And then sometimes empaths have to set some boundaries, it's like, because otherwise when it all gets into the soup, it gets a little overwhelming. So thank you, Katie, for sharing. I really appreciate it. Anyone else have anything they would like to share at this point? Okay. I just always want to include people. I'm sensing there's somebody who wants to say something and they're going to later.
Sure.
So let's go. I'll go back to a few slides here.
I'll share.
Oh, okay, great.
So I think I'm the textbook example of the difference between empathy and clairempathy. And when I became certified as a Gallup StrengthsFinders strengths coach, I learned the definition of empathy, which is being able to sense other people's feelings or feel them. And when I heard that, I was like, that's a thing. I was shocked. And so clearly, like, I'm not an empath in that sense of the word. But when I learned how to do energy medicine and I developed my psychic abilities, I'm able to feel into it psychically or while doing energy medicine. And I can feel into the emotional state of not just people, but also non-human beings like trees or Gaia or, something like that, or even a situation. So I think to me, that's the difference between empathy and clairempathy. And
Right.
I guess also my story about how I am and am not empathic. So that quiz Renee Beth showed, there's actually a part where you can count the number of yeses you have and you get a score. And turns out I'm a low to moderate empath at best. So I actually
Right.
feel very grateful for that because I also do know that it can be such an energetic burden to just feel everything and everybody. So
Right.
yeah,
That's a really good point, Sana, because you sense it. You sense it, as a clear empath with clear empathy. You can sense the feelings, but not absolutely feeling them yourself.
yeah.
Whereas if you're an empath practicing
Yeah,
clear empathy, you
yeah.
feel it and sense it, and sometimes it gets really messy. So I think that's what makes you such a powerful guide, powerful,
So
what should I say, a channel for guidance.
the one thing I say about empaths, and there's like two of those strengths finder strengths that I say this about, but it's sucks to be you, great to be with you.
Right. Good. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. So clear, you know, Sana's brought up a good point because you can be an empath, um, but and to have all those things, but you could experience clear empathy without being an empath because you're sensing the feelings, but you don't necessarily have to feel the feelings yourself. So you sense them as with clear empathy. All right. So thank you. And being aware is I keep thinking we talk about consciousness a lot in our communities. It's kind of like it feels like people are moving into when we talk about the new earth sauna, it's almost like there's an upgrade in frequencies. People are awakening to frequencies. It's all energy and there's an awakening. And some notice it more than others. And it's kind of interesting to be in this conversation now about whether it's ordinary empathy or clear empathy. So here, you think about your heart goes out to another person when they're going through a difficult time, and you can be happy for others during times of joy. You can sense people's emotions without feeling them, right? You can sense their emotion, energy, and physical symptoms and so forth. But, some people even feel them in their own body, right? So being able to, it's kind of like, I'm trying to think of when I was with the Church of Religious Science and Unity Church, they would teach you how to sit with people and help them heal and go through a process. I don't know if anyone has done any of that work, but that's when I realized that I needed to set some clear boundaries because I'm an empath and also was starting to experience clear empathy. So being super sensitive to tone of voice and body movements. I noticed that when somebody's speaking really loud to me, I feel like I hear what they're not saying. I'm sensitive to anger. I think it's because I grew up in a pretty interesting parents I chose, let's just say. Um, we can communicate non-verbally and through silence. That's when, Sanna, when we did the 3 minutes of silence, I could touch into and sense the energy of everyone in the room, right? So I could sense that, I'm just saying that I have the opportunity in those moments when it's not just me in silence, but with others, I can hear what people are feeling in my body. It's weird. Um, we can communicate non-verbally through silence. You probably know about the Ho'oponopono, where I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you. When I walk onto a plane, I say that from the pilot to everyone in every seat as I sit down. Um, and I think empaths and, especially with clairempathy, we're going to feel it more than think it. Feel first, then think. And there's this thin membrane of what separates us from the rest of the world when we're combining these two, ordinary empathy with clair. So just to clarify, clairempathy is an empathetic embodiment of energy data that has no rational, logical, or subjective origin or explanation. It's essentially a shared awareness of another sentient being, feelings, emotions, mood states, and motivations, instead of a mere understanding or observation of it. So, it's kind of interesting when you look at distinctions. And in the Claire series, Sanna, I think it's important for us for the intuitive development, why was it so important to go through the Claire series and understand these distinctions, especially in this world today? How would you respond to that?
Well, I don't know. Putting a definition together is one thing, but being able to tap into divine intelligence, I think, is the main point, regardless of which sense you use to access it. And I don't know. I used to be an atheist, and a bench scientist, so I was very concrete, and I didn't believe in any of this. But just practically speaking, our world is so incredibly complex, and most of the problems that we're experiencing were created because of our egoic minds, and which are very judgy and fear-based. And so I just don't feel we are going to solve the problems of our modern world, unless we can access the other forms of intelligence. One of them is divine intelligence. But that's probably not the only way that we solve that either. But for us to access all of our intelligences gives us the best chance of finding the best path forward and healing
Beautiful.
ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Access to divine intelligence, which is interesting, is that's beyond the mind, right? It's almost like you can't go through the mind to access that. So through our series, we have exercises and process, and it's kind of, these are the 7 steps that we notice, and there may be more that's unfolding, but to actually access this clairempathy space is to feel into where you are, feel into the situation, and notice any emotional messages that are coming through, and to listen with your heart, and then sense what that shared experience might be. And when moved to speak, just allow the spirit to express through you. It's kind of interesting. It's like not the mind having it figured out in advance. It's the other way to experience divine intelligence. And then feel into the energy emanating from the shared experience. So the people in this series will be able to deepen for themselves and also witness and be present for others' experience, which is interesting because ultimately, when it's all said and done, you know, it's really, you know, trying to make sense of this crazy world. It seems like we think that in everyday life, the things that you see and hear influence what you feel, but it's mostly the other way around. What you feel alters your sight and hearing. So it's just an interesting to be able to express what's coming through for you, and trust that it's divine. And in these experiences that Sanna and I have had with this program, I think people walk away feeling more integrated in the oneness, the idea that there's one, we're all connected, there is no separation. That's a big, myth that we've bought into in this field of duality that we're in. But we can move beyond that. So that's the intention for the Clairempathy, and I'm so glad that you could hear a little bit about it. What makes sense of it is the experience of the share and what people bring to it.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank you.
So we can just go ahead and go into the Clairempathy meditation. So this is where we go beyond empathy to feel into the morphic field. That was the word I was looking for earlier. And so if you'd like to participate, then just assume whatever meditative position you prefer. I'll just walk you through it and I'll guide you through this exercise. And then we will share to the degree we have time, whether in the chat or verbally. So just feel your sit bones in your chair. Put your feet flat on the floor if you're able, and just feel earth underneath your feet. And just send a little hug to earth with your feet. Just loving energy. Mother always supports you. And she loves to feel our feet on her and are focusing our intention with her. So just feel a little hug from Mother Earth. Now notice your spine and try to put your spine as straight as possible. And feel like as if there's a little thread at the very top of your skull, just going up straight into the heavens. And just center that thread so your head is right over your neck. And let that thread just support you so your body can relax. And between the seat and your feet and the thread, your body is completely supported. Now what we're going to do is we're going to establish rapport with our heart. Our heart is so richly innervated. It has its own intelligence, as does our gut. Your heart is literally a sentient being in and of itself. And you can communicate with it emotionally, empathically, clairaudience, clairvoyance, whatever means you communicate. So just take a moment to feel this warm, wonderful beating energy in the center of your chest. And if you can, just relax the muscles in your torso so that you're holding your heart space, your rib cage, your chest cavity gently. Any tension you might be holding in your back or chest, just relax that. We're creating an inviting container for our heart. The more we relax the muscles in our torso, the more we can feel into our heart and we can communicate to and from. And notice how your connection with your heart energy maybe has shifted when you relaxed all the muscles in your torso. And just see if you can feel the intention of your heart as they're beating in your chest. Maybe there's a little tightness or softness or excitement. Whatever it is, just witness. And listen as you would to a child who's struggling to speak. If you wish, tell your heart, I'm here. I'm here for you. I'm here to listen to you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with me. Let's receive whatever heart wants to share. And if you wish, ask heart, what do you want me to know right now? And hold space to listen, feel, or see. And if you're feeling expansive, let the energy of your heart fill your chest cavity and the muscles around it. Another way for you to feel heart. And for you empaths out there, let's imagine a bubble of white light, fairly close in, just above your head and just below your feet. Fluffy white light. It's a semi-permeable membrane that lets in love and light, joy and laughter, high vibe, emotions and energy. Or lets in the energy from those around you that you want to sense and feel, no matter how they're coming in. But blocks out unnecessary energies that are not helpful, or turns down the volume on them so you can process them. Just set the intention to keep that bubble in place through the end of the day. And if you find it helpful, you can do this every morning so that you can decide what energies you deal with during your day. Imagine a column of white light from your seat all the way into earth, a little extra grounding. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes and come back to the Zoom room. Okay, so we have a little time to share. Wondering if anybody would like to share what that felt like, or if they had a message from heart or anything they were able to sense into anything during the meditation. Feel free to unmute and share, or if you'd prefer to pop something in the chat.
Susan had her hand up.
Yeah, I'd like to share something that was happening that I felt very physically, which is a phenomena that I've been in inquiry around. During that meditation and towards the end, I felt a lot of tingling in my limbs. And this time it was my shins down through my feet. It was a very present. I'm not trying to determine, what is this? I'm trying not to, answer what's actually happening. I just wanted to share that. And that the last couple of years, I've through, I think, a lot of heavy sound and breath meditation and Kundalini, this has happened to my full body rather than get knotted up in my stomach. I feel a lot of the sensation coming throughout my body. This time it was very focused locally, a bit in my hands and very much through my shins and feet. I'm still feeling it. And I thought that was really interesting. Thank you for the experience, or setting the stage for the experience.
That's beautiful, Susan. Thank you. I'm sensing that, sort of opening up your heart chakra allowed your chi to flow, maybe more into places that may have been a little blocked. When I started to do body scan meditations, I realized, and this is back when I was an atheist, by the way, I noticed how much of my body was numb. And so, keeping our energy flowing and clear is an ongoing practice. And especially if we're not noticing how blocked off we are energetically. Yeah. And I feel this is probably, and now I'm going to philosophize for a minute, please pardon me, that so much of what makes us so unhappy is that we can't feel very much. And so we have to use hedonism and things, and other, sometimes even violence and cutting, so that we feel something. That feeling bad things is better than feeling nothing. And so coming out of our numbness, I feel like, is one of our first steps for our healing. So good for you for opening up yourself to yourself, Susan. So beautiful.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate your sensitivity and understanding. It's very helpful to hear.
Anybody else wish to share? I would literally talk to my heart, because as somebody who was not empathic and I was very cut off from my own feelings, there were times that I would just go, okay, heart, what are we feeling? And it was easier for me to communicate with my heart telepathically than actually feel it. Well, I'm just revealing to you what a basket case I was. but hey, you do what you need to do. Any other shares? Okay, so no other shares. I guess what I felt was, I just felt a lot of warmth. I felt a lot of love from my heart. I heard the message, trust your intentions, because sometimes I worry, oh, did I do the right thing? Did I do that right? And I said, well, sometimes I get triggered and then I get reactive. And my heart said, that's okay too. You always know what the follow-up should be. So it's always such an ongoing learning process. Okay, well, if you have any thoughts or experiences you'd like to share, feel free to unmute now or to stick it in the chat. As Renee Beth said, we are starting this class on September 21st at what time? 7 p.m. Eastern time. We would love to have you. We do a lot of Renee Beth talks about empathy, and we throughout the course, and we also do meditations every week, and we do share, and we also, the fun part of it is when each person goes around and shares what they experienced, and we all can offer if we got any emotional or intuitive hits. So it's really rich because we're getting readings from each other the whole time, and we're giving like mini readings to each other too. And if that feels intimidating, people only do that when they feel ready. So there's no pressure as well. So I hope you'll join us. If you would like to register, go to sanctuaryoferarth.org to register. And I will be teaching the yin energy medicine next weekend. So those of you who already have Reiki 1 and 2, you're welcome to join us next weekend at my house if you wish. Again, thank you.
Wait, before we go, Sanna, Susan had a question. Do you want to just ask your question?
Oh, I see it. Thank you.
You see it?
Yeah. Thank you, Renee.
Yeah, sure. I'm just sort of a bit an inquiry around the relationship between empathy and intuition.
Okay. Yeah. It's a great question. So empathy is a form of intuition because you are experiencing something that is not easily seen. or measured. So science would have called this bullshit, 30 years ago or whatever, however long it took them to agree that the emotions are a thing. The way, I mean, I personally differentiate between empathy and clairempathy is if we're feeling into the non-human realm or into like sort of beyond distance, beyond like the immediate area and beyond time. Like you might, like Renee Beth might be able to feel that somebody is like what could happen. She might feel somebody's emotions in the future if something were to happen, for example, as opposed to it's sort of being in the here and now, which is the Gallup, I think the Gallup definition. There's probably a million different definitions of that, but intuition also can be of any of the senses. So you could have clairvoyance, which is visual, clairaudience, which is telepathy, claircognizance, which is just a knowing. And then there's clairsentience, just feeling it in your body in some manner. So empathy and clairempathy are a form of clairsentience, but there's also something called authentic movement, which actually we sort of use in yin medicine, energy medicine. It's that your body knows how to move intuitively. So there's all kinds of clairs. There's also clairolfactance, like having a psychic smell. There's clairgustance, which psychic taste, like you might be able, like you might taste something bitter in your mouth if you're feeling somebody's resentful or something like that. Or like maybe your grandmother's pie, bringing in a psychic memory of, your grandmother or something like that. So anyway, does that answer your question, Susan?
I think so. Did you relate? Try not to be in my head. But so in intuition, you're saying that empathy is a part of intuition, and you mentioned the clair various different senses that are part of intuition. Is that right? So it doesn't matter if it has just plain empathy or clairempathy, really, right? You're looking at the full boat.
Yeah, intuition is a broad term.
Yeah.
And then there's also intuitions on a continuum. So there's like a clair on one end, and then there's sort of ordinary, like Renee Beth talked about, ordinary empathy. So we could also just we could act intuitively without necessarily being psychic. But we're all psychic.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And it's just a matter of whether you believe you're psychic and whether you put the effort into practicing it and developing it. I mean, like I said, I just didn't believe any of this 7 years ago, 8 years ago.
Well, that's because Sanna, she has a PhD in pharmacology, is that right?
Pharmaceutical sciences, yeah.
Yeah,
so
pharmaceutical sciences. So
science, and so science said, if you can't measure it, it's not real.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So what's really interesting in this community and what we want to do as Sanctuary of Earth is bring awareness to these abilities. That's not, it could actually help inform where science is going because, there's a lot of scientists that would, think that psychic ability or intuition has no real substance to, can't really always be measured. But it's interesting how I don't know, with artificial intelligence, I call it authentic intelligence, where we're becoming more and more aware of the fullness that's beyond our ability from a mind space to figure out, science mind. This is larger. And I think the community itself is going to help lend credibility to these conversations because the shift that's occurring, I'm a futurist, I can see it, where we're becoming as humanity. It's going to require people that understand this. And we want to have a community that can come together. So as we learn it for ourselves, we can share it with others, which will expand the ripple effect of awakening consciousness. That's why I do this.
So I'm just mindful of the time here. There was a question from Nikki about how would you develop your clairs? Well, that's kind of an involved question, but I would say take our classes. So you can register at Sanctuary of Earth. So we do have clairempathy lined up, and then we'll have clairaudience and clairvoyance. You can also learn from books and YouTube videos and other community teachers. You can find a mentor. There's a million ways to learn it. It starts with just understanding that we are all connected to the divine. We are all part of source. So therefore we could communicate with anything theoretically.
Right.
And if you believe you can do it and you put some effort into it, you'll do it.
Absolutely.
So I did put the links for donation and to register for our classes in the chat. And just the last order of business before we adjourn, and I don't have anything scheduled for next month in terms of a gather session. So please just stay tuned to the ION's social media or for Meetup, or you can sign up for our newsletter. If you want to sign up for our newsletter, put your email in the chat. The last thing is that I'm giving away a free 30-minute one-on-one spiritual guidance / intuitive session, 30-minute session to one of you. So let's see. I think there's 10, 11 of us. So Renee Beth, pick a number between 1 and 11.
11.
Okay, Shakori, you are the winner of the free session with me. So you could either put your email in the chat or donation button. Okay, thank you, Katie. If you could just go to sanctuarybirth.org, there's a donate button. I guess that link must be yeah, the direct website leaves you there. Yeah, so Shakori, if you email me at sannacalvert@gmail.com. Okay, thank you. We can set up a time for your free 30-minute session. And thank you all for your donations. I hope that link works. Thanks for letting me know, Katie. Okay, thank you, everybody. Take care. Thanks,
Thank
Renee.
you, Sanna. Beautiful day, everyone.